Good evening and welcome to College Night for Spelman College. We are happy to have our guest tonight to present to you and share with you what it's like to be an Achieve Atlanta Scholar at Spelman College and answer your questions. What we can do first is make sure that you are able to understand the controls that are available to you and participate in the webinar fully. So there is a Q&A box on your screen at the bottom. Please use that to submit any questions. There's also a chat box if you have any questions or concerns during the webinar that pertain to the webinar. I'd be happy to answer any of those questions for you. And if you want to minimize your screen down from a large or full screen down to just a window on your computer, you can exit the full screen mode by pressing escape. I now introduce you to your presenters, Stacy Washington and Markayla Hall.
Good evening. I'm glad you all could join us. For those of you who have already had your graduation ceremonies or your COVID version of the graduation ceremony, congratulations. To those of you who have ceremonies still to come, we also send our congratulations and well wishes to you. I am Stacy Washington, the Special Academic Programs Manager for the Office of Undergraduate Studies, which is also the Undergraduate Dean's Office, and I'm also the Campus Coordinating Advisor for Achieve Atlanta, and I will let our Spelman Ambassador for Achieve Atlanta introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Markayla Hall. I am a third year. In the future, I'll be a third year. Economics major from Atlanta, Georgia. I was a student at Thurl High School, and I'm your student Achieve Atlanta Ambassador.
Okay. So for our agenda this evening, we are going to do a brief organizational snapshot. Then we'll do some review of what to expect when you transition from high school to college, give you a brief timeline of some important dates that you'll need to remember, review campus support services and resources, and then we'll have a little closeout session and then open it up for a Q&A, and we can get started. So we understand that this is a very trying time for a lot of people. It's really unsettling to live in a state of uncertainty. And we want you to understand that we at Spelman understand what people are going through and that we are all trying to navigate this together. It's a very fluid situation, so we have to pivot pretty quickly. But that's also a good experience for life because things don't always work out and we need to figure out how we're gonna manage that. And so we want you to know that we are here to support you and to help you so that you don't have to feel like you're navigating alone. We had a town hall and I will be able to share some updates with you that we got from the president and the leadership. And we are paying very close attention to how COVID-19 is impacting our community and reviewing guidance that we're receiving from federal, state, local authorities, health organizations, CDC, World Health Organization, and Johns Hopkins in particular, and that the safety, health, and well-being of our community is really at the forefront in terms of decisions that are being made for how we will move forward into the fall. So I want to share a little bit about what the campus looks like now. Since the middle of March, we have been operating in a remote learning format, and we have also been teleworking for most of the staff. We do have support staff that have been on campus, public safety, FMS, some technology people who are really doing a wonderful job and in some instances putting their health at risk to continue to have the campus up and operational. The president did announce that there will be a tuition freeze for the 2021 academic year so that people can at least not incur too much additional cost because we know that there are financial implications. And then when we go into the fall, we're looking at two options. One would be a complete remote semester In the event that we have to do that, there will be a bit of a discount on the classes that are going to be online. We don't know what that will amount to yet, but there will be a discount if we have to be remote. And then we will also put in place a technology assessment, because we'll need to make sure that all students, incoming and returning students, are set up properly to be able to manage the platforms that we'll need to access. So there'll be trainings and other things so that you can maximize that format. We will also provide perhaps some equipment if that is needed. So those details are being worked out. We are having a bit of practice over the summer because we usually only have about 8 courses online. This summer, we actually have over 50 courses online. So the online platform has been working relatively successfully based in the spring. And so faculty will have lots of practice putting their courses up and running and getting lots of feedback from students. The other option is going to be opening the campus, but they are reviewing the nature of that opening, what that would look like, because there's certain guidelines we would have to follow. So is it going to allow all students that can live on campus to come back to campus? Probably not. It might be that first-year students get to come on campus so that you have that experience, but we would also have to implement social distancing, the wearing of masks, limited occupancy in certain spaces, adjustments to the course schedule to allow time for cleaning in between courses. We would also need to have testing, probably contact tracing, and we would almost certainly have to have a designated quarantine space. There's some discussion about a hybrid semester where maybe we come to campus and then leave around Thanksgiving and then finish the semester remotely. In the event that we do that, you would get that discount for the remote period. So those are just some of the things that we are discussing. And so one of the things I want to highlight about Spelman is that we are a liberal arts institution. And I want to make sure that we cover that, because as a liberal arts institution, the goal is that we want you to have a little taste of a multitude of disciplines. So you're expected to take humanities, social science, fine art, math, language, because we want you to have a broad spectrum of experience, to be able to think in interdisciplinary ways, so that when you move out into the world, you are a finely tuned critical thinker who is able to communicate in a multitude of spaces and bring that knowledge to bear as you go out to make change in the world. We're a diverse community. We have over 2,100 students from 41 states and 15 countries. We have 75 to 77% graduation rate, and our class ratio is about 11 students to 1 professor, and that would continue even in an online platform. And it gives you close contact to your faculty, and they get to know you and support you and recommend you for opportunities, so you really get to build relationships. We have about 32 majors and 8 or so of special academic program areas, including ADW, which is African Diaspora in the World, Asian Studies, Curatorial Studies, Food Studies, an Honors Program, Health Careers, and Social Justice Fellows Program, and a GSTEM program. And so I'm going to turn it over to Markayla so that she can give you some insight about campus culture and what to expect during your first year from a student's perspective.
Hi again, everyone. So campus life is amazing. We have so many different organizations like Pulse, which is a student organizations that plan most of the big events during homecoming and just a lot of different events throughout the school year. As well as we have SGA, which is our Student Government Association, NAACP, and those are just a few of the organizations. We have a lot of different events on campus that make Spelman special. Like we have Market Friday. So every Friday we will have a DJ, different small different small vendors to come out and sell different products and things. We also have our big event is Spellhouse Homecoming. So we partner with Morehouse College. We just have a big event, alumni come out. We have so many vendors on campus, and it's just a big block party. We have Founders Day, which we have convocation in the morning time, and then it's a big celebration in the evening. We have late night brunch in the cab, which is great as well after finals is over and everything. Well, right before finals, we have a lot of, we will have late night brunch in the cab. And that's about it.
Okay, Markayla, also tell them a little bit about why Spelman is special and why you chose Spelman.
One of the reasons why I chose Spelman was the sisterhood. I think the bonds that we make on campus is like no other. And like we're just a big community, as well as the community outside of Spelman. Like when you want to get internships and different jobs, the connections that you build on campus will connect you to the outside world as well. Another reason I chose Spelman, because it felt like home. I'm just surrounded by my sisters, and we just have like a big connection, and it's just like no other experience.
Okay, and so one of the other things that I want to point out is we live in a world where people often question whether we still need HBCUs, whether we still need women's institutions. And I would say anybody that's paid attention to the news over the last year or so would be able to answer that with a resounding yes. We live in a world where we are often marginalized. People don't expect much of us. And when you are at an institution that is focused on educating and empowering women, educating and empowering people of color, Black women in particular, you learn your worth, you learn to understand your worth and value, and you walk into spaces in a way where you command that respect, because we teach people how to treat us. So Spelman is really uniquely positioned because it tackles both of those issues. So it is really a very unique place to be, and the people who work there are committed to that mission. So you often have faculty and staff who invest in you in ways that they might not at a larger institution or at other institutions where you have to go to a special office or find a particular faculty person to mentor you. That philosophy is sort of built into Spelman's culture. So we can go to our next slide, and we'll just review briefly the Achieve Atlanta commitment that Ms. Diggs-Wilborn reviewed with you all last night if you were able to attend the Scholar Night. And we really want to reinforce the Achieve Atlanta commitment and make sure that you understand that it really does set you up to succeed in a post-secondary environment. All of those tips and instructions and rules that we want you to commit to are really designed for you to get the most out of your college experience, no matter what school you attend. And it's really important to think about the self-advocacy piece that Ms. Suzanne talked about last week, because you do learn to be an independent thinker, an independent adult, and you need to also be proactive. So not sit and wait for people to come to you, but to find resources on your own and then be able to check up to make sure you're doing the right thing. But we really want to train you how to be able to navigate independently. And so we really encourage you to fill out the commitment if you haven't. Achieve Atlanta encourages you to be creative because they are having Instagram contests with all sorts of prizes and monetary prizes as well as gift prizes. So we really do encourage you to fill out that commitment and to watch the Instagram posts so you can participate. And then there are some additional requirements that are relevant to each institution. So as an incoming student at Spelman, you're required to take a certain number of core general education requirements that fit that liberal arts curriculum. And then you will declare a major in your second year. As a first-year student, you're required to live on campus. Now, obviously, in a COVID world, there are going to be some adjustments to that, but a lot of what we're going over, we're reviewing, because at some point we will all come back together and those things will be relevant. And some of what we're talking about will still happen. The format will just shift. So we just want to make sure you have that information. And so to help you start taking responsibility for your new role as college students, we're going to go over some important dates that we need you to keep in mind. I just got an update today from admissions. So if any of you have not been able to make the $500 non-refundable deposit on May 1st, you can contact admissions and or student accounts and ask for an extension until June 1st. So that has been extended. There is also an extension for your deadline to submit your health form and your housing application, and that has been moved to June 15th. We have also extended the deadline to receive your final high school transcript. So instead of it being due in July, I'm sorry, it's now going to be due October 15th. So by October 15th, we will need your final high school transcript. If we don't get it, you won't be allowed to register for classes in the spring. And so some other points to remember, that orientation is scheduled for the week of August 10th. Information is forthcoming regarding the format, whether it will be a remote orientation, hybrid, partly on campus, partly remote, or completely on campus for incoming students. Once you pay your deposit, you will begin receiving email communications from the Office of Undergraduate Studies. You will also receive communications from Dean Baxter, and she is the Associate Dean of First-Year Students. So you'll keep an eye out for those emails. Check your spam folder just in case that's where they're going. And then you will be given access to the Spelman portal, and information will be uploaded there. And this is where it becomes very important to make sure you keep in touch with Markayla as your ambassador, because if you're having trouble navigating those spaces, she can help you. Reach out to me, and I can make sure that you're getting the information that you need. So the other part that we wanted to make sure you knew about was summer programming. Some of you may know that we have a College Prep Institute, an early college program, and we also have an art history and curatorial studies program. Those have all moved to a remote format. They are still accepting applications. You can earn college credit. So let's say you want to get math out of the way or an English out of the way. You can take those, and those grades will transfer to your Spelman transcript in the fall. So you can go on to the academic banner on the Spelman website, look at summer programs, and the information is there. I will also put a tip sheet together that can be uploaded onto our Scholar Night site on the Achieve Atlanta site that will have those links to you so that you can review that information. And let's see, so the next slide. So we just want you to remember those really important dates, your extension until June 1st to submit your $500 non-refundable deposit. Once your deposit is received, you'll go in the queue so that you can start receiving email updates about the fall. Your deadline to submit your health form and your housing application is June 15th. You still have to submit your health insurance waiver by July 15th, and your high school transcript is not due until October 15th. Also remember, July 30th is the deadline for your first tuition payment. You can select a 3-month plan or a 10-month plan. You go on Spelman College website under student accounts, and they will give you the dates and the details about those plans. I believe for the 10-month plan, you have to apply. You still have to apply. But if you miss one of those payments, it may revert you back to the 3-month plan. So you want to make sure that you read through that carefully and talk it over with your family. And in August, the date for classes to start is still up in the air. But again, we think orientation will start the week of the 10th. And then keep your eyes open for emails about the Achieve Atlanta Mixer that's to take place, Because of COVID-19, it likely won't be an in-person mixer, but there may be some versions of in-person at respective campuses and an online component as well. And let's see, next we are going to talk about your transition to college. So some important areas to know about and details, and the next few slides have some contact information. The best way to find information about all of these areas is to search the Spelman website. This is another area in which you can be proactive, and I encourage you to take some time to look at the website, because most information you need is usually contained there. And in the Q&A, if people are interested, I can point you to some of those areas. So for your financial life at the college, you'll deal with the financial aid office. You are assigned a financial aid advisor based on the first letter of your last name. If you go on financial aid website, it actually has the name of who those counselors are. And on everybody's website is their preferred way of being contacted. So if you go on financial aid site, you may have the counselor's name, which group of students they deal with, and their direct phone number. It may have their email address. Some other offices have a general email that they want messages to go to so that they know how to filter the incoming messaging, and so that their personal emails don't get filled up. Sometimes there are confidentiality issues, so they need it to go to a specific secure email address. Some people will have their cell phone numbers available. So how you can contact people is usually going to be contained on that website. Often faculty under their departments will have their contact information, their office location, so you're able to stop by. Also under your financial health will be your student accounts office. That's where you pay your bills. They are in the Packard building, and the cashier's window is also associated with them. That's where you can pick up checks. You can also make payments to your accounts through the cashier's office. We also have student employment on campus. There are likely going to be remote job opportunities if we are remote in the fall. And so we have two forms of employment. There's general college, which is funded through the various departments at the institution, and you can work up to 20 hours a week. There's also federal work study, and that's federally funded. You're limited to 10 hours a week. There are usually fewer of those jobs, but certain students who receive scholarship monies may be entitled to work study jobs as well. And your financial aid counselor can help you walk through that depending on your particular aid package. Then we transition to housing. So you have the housing office, student life and engagement, which is what manages Greek life, our community service Bonner office, because as a first year and second year student, you're required to do community service. They also handle the student organizations on campus. There are trips that are often taken and will resume once we're a little bit back to normal. You have the health services that falls under that umbrella. We have a fully functioning health clinic. There's a doctor that's on call different days of the week. We have certified nurse practitioners who can do pretty much any exam that you would have done, any medical service that you would need to have at a clinic or urgent care facility. Attached to McVicker, where you have the health services, is also our counseling center. We have full service counseling. You can have one-on-one sessions. They have group counseling sessions. If you see a counselor currently and you want them to speak to a Spelman counselor with your permission, they can have a consultation. If you prefer to meet with someone offsite and don't have a counselor, they can recommend people for you to see, but we do have counseling on campus. We have continued that through our remote format, so that will still be available to students in the fall if we're not back on campus. Part of counseling services, that building, is also student access. It used to be known as disability services. So if you currently have an accommodation for testing, or you need assistance with writing papers, you can't type and you need someone to type for you, if you need extra time taking exams, if you need to be in a different space when you take exams, all of those things get managed through our Student Access Center. And again, those numbers, email, contact information are present. Once you pay that deposit and start getting emails, you want to reach out to any of those offices to see if there's additional paperwork you need to submit. The Student Access Center is also now going to have an online platform like Health Services where you can upload that information. So any documentation from doctors, counselors at your high school that need to be transferred over, so that once you're on campus or once you're in courses, we can move forward where we're notifying your faculty of any accommodations you might need. Then we move on to the academic life on campus. And so when you come in as a first-year student, one of the things you will be placed into is FYE, first year experience. And that's sort of a general college, welcome to college, College 101 course. The faculty person that teaches that course for you will also be your pre-major advisor. So that's the person that you will work with throughout the year to pick your courses when it's time for registration, to make sure that you're taking all of those general education courses that you have to take, because when you first come, we want you to focus on those general education courses. So your humanities, your language, your English, fine art, math, science, I think I said language, social science, and you also need to take 2 wellness courses. Once you declare your major, by second semester sophomore year, you will be assigned a major advisor, and that person will be housed in your department. So if you're an English major, your advisor will now be a professor in the English department. If you're a math major, you'll be in the math department. If you're computer science, you'll be in the computer science department. One thing I want to clarify is when you come to Spelman, you're often asked what your intended major is. Your FYE instructor may be assigned to you based on the intended major you indicate, just so you can start building those relationships. But understand, it does not mean you're locked into that major, doesn't mean you can't change your major. But we want to at least give you a preview and access to those individuals so that you can begin to assess whether that is the major for you. Second semester freshman year, we will have a major minor exploration fair where you're encouraged to meet different faculty and staff from all the majors to help you kind of fine tune after you've had some classes what direction you might want to take. Oftentimes students change their major, and that's perfectly fine. Then we have the services that support your academic life on campus, and that would be tutoring services and different tutoring labs that are discipline specific. So there's a computer lab, there's a math lab, there are various science labs where you can find peer tutors and assistants. The Academic Success Center is in Milligan, up to the front of the campus by the front gate. There's an academic coach, Ms. Cynthia Hodges-Atkins, who helps students with time management, study skills, because studying at the college level is going to be different than high school. You may have to learn a different way to study for the courses you're taking. And the good thing about using those services on a college campus is that they know the college environment. They're familiar with the faculty. They're familiar with the structure of the courses. So it's not just about helping you with the content, but it's helping you with the content as it appears on Spelman College's campus. And peer tutors have had those classes. We have a writing center, which isn't located in Milligan, but that's in the Cosby Center. And that's where you would go to get help on papers, all sorts of papers that you would have to write. You usually have a first year writing portfolio that you have to submit at the end of your first year, where you take samples from different things you've written in your courses to evaluate to make sure that your writing is up to speed so that you're comfortable moving forward in higher level courses. And the next part would be your Achieve Atlanta support staff, who would be Markayla and myself. And we really want to encourage you to reach out to us. We are here to support you and to help your transition be as smooth as it can be, to help your matriculation through the institution be as fruitful as it can be. And I know that Markayla wanted to say a few little things to you about that process as well.
I think it's just important for you just to take advantage of every opportunity and each contact that we have on campus, because sometimes you have different situations, whether it's something with housing, maybe with financial aid, or whichever. But when you have these certain things that need to be done on campus, you have to stay on top of these issues because so many people on campus might be having the same issue as well. So you just have to stay on top and make sure everything gets done. As well as just staying involved on campus. Your experience is what you make of it. So you just have to make the best of it and take advantage of every opportunity on campus. Because when I first came to Spelman, I was struggling in like a Spanish course. So I started going to Spanish tutor, and then I started getting the necessary help that I needed so I could be successful in that course. So I think it's just important that you take advantage of every opportunity on campus because they are here to help you, as well as me and Ms. Washington and the Achieve Atlanta community. We're here for you. So just take advantage of it.
Excellent advice. And so we can move on to the next slide. We're almost finished. So when in doubt, ATL, advocate for yourself, touch base with campus resources, and lean into the experience. And when we say lean into the experience, we mean that you need to be open and need to understand that this is going to be a new environment. You're not expected to know everything right away. It's going to be uncomfortable. You have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's how we grow. It may be additionally uncomfortable because now we're navigating a worldwide pandemic. But again, you don't have to navigate it alone. And we can't help you if we don't know that you need help. So please do not feel like you are minimized in any way because you're reaching out for help. Everybody needs help at some point, and that's why we're all here. And so we really want you to embrace the change, embrace a little bit of discomfort because it's going to help you grow. And we're really excited about you joining us. Some of what we've talked about, though it may not happen in a face-to-face format right away, it will eventually get back there. And some of these opportunities are going to just transfer to an online platform. And there is some innovation that's taking place there. And so it's not necessarily a better or worse, it's just different. And so we're all being challenged to think about things differently, to prioritize what's important. And so I was reading something in the Atlantic a week or so ago, and it was from Michael Sorrell, who's the president of Paul Quinn College, which is an HBCU in Dallas. And I thought his words were really poignant, and I wanted to close on those, and then we'll move into a Q&A. And one of the things that he said was that any path forward for higher education and for everyone in society requires telling people this truth. Life is going to be hard for the foreseeable future. We are in the early stages of a pandemic that we do not yet fully understand. What we do know is that this crisis was mismanaged from the start. As a result, every aspect of our lives is going to be changed for far longer than we are comfortable. Moreover, in all likelihood, our rush to reopen is going to set us back in our fight against COVID-19 even more. This is particularly important because we are a disproportionately impacted community. The sacrifices that we must make to restore order and safety will make us a stronger, more resilient society. For college students, those sacrifices will include long periods of remote learning, perhaps. The good news, and let's focus on the good news, because there is good news, is that higher education will get through this crisis. By adjusting our expectations and addressing our fears, we will provide room for a new model of realistic leadership. The freedom that accompanies this moment will provide space for necessary innovation. As is often said in Black churches, There can be no testimony without a test. The coronavirus is our test. Whether we pass will not only determine our testimony, but also shape our legacy. May history judge us kindly. And I think what's really important about that, and what I like, is that it reminds us that though we don't control everything, we do have control. And we have the power to help determine how this new normal looks, how it functions, and to make the most of it. And also that we are not doing this alone. And with that, I would like to invite any questions. I think some people may have joined.
That was me. Keep staying on mute. Sorry about that. We don't have any questions at this point, but I would like you to repeat the change in dates in case people didn't catch it.
Sure. Let me put my notes. So our change in dates, for anyone that may have missed the enrollment confirmation deposit, which was in May, you can request an extension through June 1st. So don't just assume that your application's been thrown out. Just contact the school and you can get an extension till June 1st. The deadline to submit your health forms and your housing application has been moved to June 15th. And the deadline for your final high school transcript is now October 15th. Once you've made the deposit, you will start to receive emails from the Office of Undergraduate Studies, Housing, Health Services, and Dean Baxter, who is the Associate Dean of First-Year Students, with all of the dates for upcoming activities that relate to new student orientation, which we now think will be the week of August 10th. Oh, and one thing I didn't mention was there are placement exams for math and also foreign language. And so that communication will also come from Dean Baxter. And you will then have access to the Spelman portal. And they'll give you a login for that, and you can check the portal periodically, and all those dates will show up.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And that's also when it's important to make sure you keep in touch with our ambassador, Markayla, because as a student, I don't see the student version of the portal. So sometimes students ask questions and I'm like, I don't know what that button is, but she can help walk you through if you're having trouble accessing any of that.
Markayla, can you talk a little bit about in the summertime, a little bit about what you'll be doing with our incoming scholars?
During the summertime, I'll just try to stay connected and help you with any preparations you need for the upcoming school year. Kind of remind you to take the foreign language exam and the placement exam just so you can be ready for the upcoming school year.
Okay. Thank you both so much. We don't have any questions that are open, but this webinar will be posted on the Spelman section of our Achieve Atlanta website under Scholar Needs. And I think Stacy did say that you would be also providing a resource guide with some of this information as well. Yes. And that will be posted and uploaded on that section of the website as well. So thank you so much for attending with us tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you, Stacy and Markayla.
Thank you.
For all of that wonderful information. And we want to thank you for watching the webinar and gaining this valuable information. You all have a great evening.
And congratulations again, and we look forward to meeting you soon.